So we'll wait for some people to get on here. Let's see.
All right.
I'm gonna put the chat to come from Isaac T Reese account, the Facebook, which we anticipate that's probably where most of the viewers do usually come from.
Yeah, now I could see it. So now that I'm not using my phone, like the mobile version, I'm just now I could see pretty much. I could see the comments on the right.
So you're seeing a browser though, right? Like you're having to use a browser whenever with Restream.
Yeah.
I found it difficult whenever I'm going to use the browser. Let's say if it's a live of something that's out in the field, I find that difficult. All right. We got a couple of people coming on. We got three people chiming in, two people. One's on Yahoo. Yahoo. YouTube.
Yahoo.
YouTube. Hmm.
Can you see me when I switch the tabs off?
No.
Oh, you can't see me anymore?
No, I do. I see
okay.
it. I see you.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for people to stroll on.
All right.
Introduction coming shortly. Excuse the attire. Usually just came from the gym, so.
Hey, I'm wearing my my little Eagle Pass Texas shirt. I got that from the Chamber of Commerce. This was back in the election days, which was not too far. It was a little recent. Little gift for running, you know.
Nice.
But you know what? My son's gonna go to CC Win, so I told Mr. Herrera, you guys got a black one? Because I serve my son will be going to CC Win, so.
So we got a couple of viewers on, 5 on Facebook, 1 on YouTube. Should we get this show going?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So, who's got the intro on there?
oh! I can go on the intro. Yeah, of course. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is another night session of the Ruiz Beast Podcast. My name is Ruben Camarillo, and I am the current guest and the host of my show, Now You Know Eagle Pass Podcast. We're here doing a part 2 of Enter Isaak Ruiz. I hope everybody likes my new little setup. I know I had a little blurry camera, but I've been, junking around with it here. And if it looks like I'm not looking at you, it's because I'm like looking at my screen. It's going to be kind of hard talking to a phone. So apologize for that. How you doing, Isaak?
No, we're doing good. Eager to finish where we started. I think we're going somewhere with our conversation that we were having before, and we were able to do some things during the day to day, and just happy we can link up again and see what we can get going from here.
Yeah, of course, man. We all I know the community is eager to hear the story. I actually did get some feedback. I was at the Chamber of Commerce luncheon for the the scholarship luncheon. So what that was is that it was for the top 5% of the students in Eagle Pass High School and CC Win. Before we get started, congratulations to you guys. It is a great achievement to be top 5%. And with those GPAs, it is so impressive, very impressive. I've read the bios, and it was a great luncheon too. I just will thank the Chamber of Commerce, the City of Eagle Pass, for making that event for these kids. Man, it's an honor just to be able to celebrate that. And yeah, well, for anybody who's watching, I'm sure they're not watching, but any of the parents that are watching, or if they ever see this video one day, I wish you guys all the best of luck. You guys are going to take your careers to high places with those GPAs. Let me tell you. Quick shout out of the small business of the night is going to be Team No Limits, which is the smoothie place right behind the Shell, right next to the office where you're at, Isaak.
Yes.
They have some great hydration and energy drinks. It's very healthy choice. If you you want to have a healthy choice, look no further. Go to Team No Limits. They have a patio element out there too. You can enjoy some great energy drinks, sugar-free energy drinks. They have pizzas, protein donuts, you name it. You guys can go check out the menu. Team No Limits. Check it out whenever you can. All right, let's get
Awesome.
started. It does it. Let me ask you this: does it still feel great on the other, or different to be on the other end?
No, it doesn't at all. I mean, I've been kind of waiting to see how the questioning, the sequence of the questioning would go. I think the first part we had, I found myself still asking the questions, and that was kind of, uh,
Just
I guess
natural.
typical, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just still kind of it's I don't think it's anything different. It's still talking. Maybe if you get some good questions, and I know you got a real good one on me the other day when we had one. I think I told you that I had to kind of wait a little bit and think about it, make sure
Oh,
what I said was correct, and what I needed
yeah.
to say, right? But
I've got plenty of questions, man. I mean, I just didn't want to unload it, right then and there all on you. I do like to give. Actually, I think you're my second guest. Um, especially when because you're a very controversial figure in Eagle Pass. So the questions I ask, I just don't want to put you.
so they say. So they
Yeah,
say.
yeah. So they say, I just don't want to put you on on an awkward spot. So I mean,
No, I mean, to me, I'm kind of an open book, of course, of anything that uh, I know that I can't, say or whatever. You'll notice with my answering, just from there, we got to kind of move on. But other than that, I don't really like to hide or be secretive about anything. I think I've kind of shown that. Since I started doing a podcast, doing a little bit of news here, that I always have disclosed, hey, this, that, or the other about myself, because everybody knows that it's not a secret.
yeah,
There's no reason for me to hide anything, and that's not the point. So, I mean, other than that, like I said, I'm an open book. I did want to stay away from the political type, because I know we just had an election, even though it wasn't, one of those elections that we've had before where, it's intense, and, feelings are hurt, and, things like that. I appreciate this was a different type of election, even though it was a low voter turnout. But um, I kind of wanted to, I don't want to say take a break, because we're still following up the politics. We're still
of
doing
course.
news out there. Texas right now, our state is in legislative session, so we're following bills, and
Good, good.
reports are going to be coming out in the Maverick Times soon, as how our representative and how other representatives in Texas are handling several bills that are coming out, and I see good things, I see concerning things, nonetheless. One of the things I did see, and I mean, maybe it's something not typical that you will hear, but as I was kind of looking, very brief, I saw an outrageous number of either being authored or sponsoring a bill, sponsoring, co-sponsoring a bill at the state level by our state rep Eddie Morales. Was one thing that I'll say that I didn't get into any of them in particular, but he's involved in a lot, and that kind of amazed me. And that's one thing I did wanted to say. We're throwing that out there.
Of course.
Now I haven't read through them all, and give me a second. It takes a while. No, I'm not kidding. There was like 100 and something that he's either co-authored or co-sponsored or been a part of or something. That's 150 50 something bills, I think, maybe a little bit off. And that alone, like, hey, wow. I don't know what his predecessor did or anything like that. I'm not sure what he did before, but I saw that and I was like, oh crap! Like, I was real eager to go through. Hey, what have you really done? And I was a little shocked that I had to scroll so damn long on that phone. 100 and something damn items that he's a part of now. Like I said, I haven't gone in. I'm not going to opinionate whether they're good, bad, or the other. One thing I will say is he's active, and that's what I at least expect from our state representative.
Absolutely.
So I'll throw that out there from the very get go, right?
Absolutely. And we always want to give our local politicians or our people that are already elected, even if we don't support them, we got to give them some credit. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing about Joe Biden, but but there are there's some good that are done by other politicians and elected officials. And one of the things I wanted to add was the Maverick Times. I got to give a good little review on it, man. It's pretty legit. I know you guys are very forthcoming with your ads, your oh my gosh, they're not ads, they're articles, op-eds. They're op-eds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not very cut and paste. So I do see a lot of that. I'm gonna say it's my opinion. I do see a lot of cut and paste with a lot of our local media. I'm not going to mention specific ones because you know what? Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, we'll address that. I have, I'll say, the utmost respect for a lot of the media out here. There's been issues before with some of the media. I mean, obviously, that's what kind of kickstarted my whole thing of doing media. So, and it's not an issue that there's still any kind of issue that, at least on my end. But reflecting back on that situation, that stopped, like, literally posts that they put about me, that just was looking at my Facebook profile, not asking me any questions, not really knowing anything. That's what ignited a fire in me. And most of the people that are close to me, that know me, that have worked around me, and they can tell you, this guy is like, it's like I carry a can of gasoline around me anywhere I go. Now, all you need to do is light the damn match.
Yeah.
If you want, I mean, if you're ready for that. Now, in a good way, and I like to keep it in a positive, aspect, but it could go south as well, or it could go negative.
Oh, yeah.
But either way, that's the personality that I've always kind of brought to the table.
Yeah, and people watch you. They really do.
Well, I mean, I think they used to watch me a lot more before. I think for whatever reason, whether it's Facebook logarithm, whether we just had our TikTok knocked down not too long ago either.
I saw that. That's
it's an ever-going thing, and to me, it's just a challenge. I just created a new one. That same, I think within an hour or two, we created another TikTok. Isaak Ruiz Beast News on TikTok. If you like our news, we're on there again. We're gonna try not to get permanently banned again, but I can't promise anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're, running around city naked. That's something that can get you banned. But that's a mystery to me. I remember I spoke with you on that, and it's just question marks. So I mean, TikTok is TikTok, and you know what? I use the TikTok platform, and I know everyone says, "Oh, it's a Chinese app." Well, yeah, I know it's a very controversial app, but it's a very easy editing app. So you can make a news. You can kind of make it look like you're putting out the news and everything. It's very easy.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't know, and I can make it like I came out on Fox and everything, right?
Yeah,
It's real.
yeah. Everything else you got to pay for it. So it's just like, well, but I guess that's the cost. I'm sure people will say, well, that's the cost for your information. So,
It,
but
I mean, the way I see TikTok is the way I see any other kind of social media platform, and I encourage anybody that watches this should think the same exact way. Those
exactly.
platforms, do not think of them as let me consume the content, let me be watching, because there is some of us out there, let's be honest, that will stay kind of glued, and all of us, anybody, me included, is responsible sometimes. I mean, not responsible, but is guilty of scrolling, just checking stuff, and the next thing you know, 10, 20 minutes pass by, and it's like, damn, I've been on this app that long, or maybe you don't even realize you have. And there's nothing wrong with consuming content, but in this world, in the age we're living in right now, if you're putting anything out, you need to be monetizing, trying to monetize, looking ways to monetize, because that is the way to make money. In there's been examples out there. Everybody sees the news. Everybody watches things where people all of a sudden, use the Facebook or say a damn catchy phrase. And you have this girl. I don't remember her name. The Cash Me Outside girl. I mean,
Bad Baby, that's her name.
yeah, I don't even remember her name, but Cash Me Outside girl. Look,
Catch me.
she went from a Cash Me Outside girl to I mean, I think she has a couple of million now, and she's doing this and she's doing that, and
Oh yeah, she's
I mean, I'm not saying quit your 9 to 5. I'm not saying that. I'm saying have a little fun. Don't consume too much content, because the content you consume obviously has effects and influential effects on anybody that consumes it. Anything you consume, it's whether it's water, air, food, things you hear, things you watch, any type of consumption that you do, it's going to affect you. So whatever you put in your body, again, water, food, in your head, what you listen to, it affects you. So you want to kind of limit that as possible.
oh
Me,
yeah,
I try. I mean, I'm not going to say I never look at content. I go through some stuff or whatever. Mostly, it's a tool for me to learn what other people are doing, to learn different capabilities of what we can do with different apps. That's what I usually scroll down and try to see stuff. Other than that, I mean, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to post my stories on the Maverick Times to look better for y'all. How I need to change up my approach on posting to make sure you guys are getting every, uh, everything it's worth, the information that we have, and I do pride ourselves on the information we do have, because some of it other news medias, not saying good or bad, but we put a lot out there, and we dig a little bit when digging needs to be done. So we want to make that as accessible to the people as possible, and that's what we try to do. Again, I still do encourage people, no matter what it is you do, if you like to clean your shoes, go out and create content how to clean shoes, keep that content going. Eventually you monetize that content, make some money. There's plenty of ways to make money, and this is one good way of trying to.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, every whatever you're good at, you want to make it known to the public, and you want to uh, make it popular, and you all of a sudden you go from 5 views a day to 20 to 30.
Yeah.
It grows. I mean, I don't know if you know who Fred was. I think that was one of the first kids that went viral on, I think it was YouTube back in the day. It was a kid that just did a bunch of squeaky voices, and all of a sudden the kid got sponsored, started getting sponsors, and he all of a
Mhm.
sudden then he started making movies. You never know. So if you do what you love, uh, via social media, and that's the era of technology, go for it. As long as it, like you said, as long as it's not something that's going to consume you, too much of anything is bad. So
Oh well, yeah, of course, everything in moderation, right?
yeah, of course. And you know what? I just want to thank the Maverick Times. It's very. I've read the op-eds. Very professional. Doesn't sound tabloid at all. Very fair, very non-biased. That's some of the media that we need nowadays. And I'm going to put this out. Not all of our social media or not all of our uh, local media is biased. Not all of them are, because I've had a couple be like, hey, I'm not biased, or hey, not everybody does that. Oh, I just want to put that out there for the record. There's some good people that I've worked with, um, and like yourself too, that was able to.
No, no, and I totally agree because I mean, with the Maverick Times, and I've gotten this a lot, and it's comments that have been made, in the community and what have you, and even people that I communicate with on, I wouldn't say on a regular basis, but that I do communicate with, and a lot of people, what they get the sense of is that it's a Republican type of push, right?
Yep.
Okay. um, and I get that coming from the fact that our community is a strong Democrat community. I mean, you might know this, being a part, of the Republican, associated and stuff like
Yep.
that. And I'm sure you can contest to the difference of strengths that there is here, and it's always been like that. It's nothing that's new, at least not since I have been alive, right? And I think that a lot of people realize that maybe the way they think don't does not match up the way things are going on right now. That I can tell you, but the way the parties are deeply rooted in this community is a difficult thing that can take, maybe a couple of years, maybe a couple of generations to actually make them see what is kind of happening. It's a difficult thing, especially nowadays, that what we're bickering about in the political arena right now, nationwide, in Texas right now, that's in legislature right now, in legislation, and it's some stuff that you know we're not prepared to be arguing for, or we don't have time to be arguing about, when there's bigger things that are coming, nationwide, worldwide, that maybe we should be looking at, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that that's kind of something that I know we kind of veered a little bit to the left there, a little bit, or to the right, or what have you. But I know that a lot of people have commented and say that, you know, you look at this way, you give this perspective, and my thing is that a lot of people will say that you're this way, you're that way, and the thing is that whoever is the good person or wants to do the good thing, it doesn't matter whether you have a damn Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertine,
Green Party.
whatever it may be. I mean, what Eagle Pass, Maverick County needs is people that are good people, and there's a lot of good people here. And Eagle Pass is at the cusp because, like I said, I've been fortunate to have positions to where I've seen the backside of the curtain that people don't normally see. And I know typically I say a lot of the negative aspects of it, but there's a lot of positive in there. There's a lot of work that is going in there. There's a lot of city, county, waterworks. There's a lot of those employees as well that, I do tend to focus on the negative being that that's sensational news. That's what makes people. That's what draws people, right?
Right.
But one of the things I did wanted to reach out and why I wanted to have this kind of interview, right, to where I understand those people that they're hardworking, they get their stuff done.
Absolutely.
One bad apple does spoil a bunch. I understand that, but there is still good apples, though. You know what I mean? In that barrel,
Absolutely.
there's still good apples. So, what I guess I am getting that with there is that um, there's a lot of good stuff that happens in the background. And I know because we kind of touched on this on part one, where a lot of the stuff. I think we even ended it with that topic that there is a lot of negative being delivered from me, and that's the way it seems. And I guess you can say that about any kind of news media, because I mean that's what they're showing you. That's what people are attracted to. People want to see what other people are doing, or how other people are not. Somebody else is getting arrested. People want to see that. I mean, I don't know how else to get that,
I
but
mean,
it's never anything to hurt anybody intentionally or in a type of way where maybe I have gone in the past, but moving forward now, people evolve, people grow.
and you got,
Um,
it's a balance. It's a sense of balance.
yes,
You have to
exactly.
balance it
I think
out.
that's what it says.
Yeah, you got to, if you're just concentrating on putting what you think is good, or what is good out on the news, and nothing bad whatsoever, people think, wow, there's really nothing else out there. This is the place to be. It's like Lord of the Rings. A little hobbits living in the Shire. They don't know what the hell's out there. They decide to
Well,
leave, and they get pummeled. You know,
yeah, that I love that you said that, because that brought me up to another point. Um, so the other day, I was having a conversation, and they brought up how they said it was a show, but I remember it as a movie. The movie The Village. You remember the movie The
I do.
Village?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now tell me how that relates to the society that we live in right now. And I'm not going to say locally. I'm going to say at a nation type of scale.
Right.
Not anything having to do with here, but we live in that same society that in that movie The Village. For those of you, I mean, if you're around our age, I mean, you've had to have seen that movie. That movie was like, though I remember when they advertised it, I thought it was going to be more horror actually than it was, but when you see it years later, you see the connotation there. And they always say that the movies replicate what reality really is. And I think that movie The Village cannot speak anything. I mean, that's spitting straight truth.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I say this all the time. There's nothing wrong with telling the truth. I mean, if
There shouldn't be. There
no, there
shouldn't
shouldn't
be.
be. Now I know that when you talk about politics, and when you talk about the things that our local politicians, or our federal politicians or state politicians have to do, sometimes they have to keep things um, under wraps until they can find a good time to let this out to the public. So, because the public panics. And that brings me to a question I've been kind of itching to the topic I've been kind of itching to talk to you about, and we can have the smallest conversation. It can only take within 5 minutes. We don't have to go all night, because I know we want to still keep asking the questions and interviewing stuff, because I have a lot of questions. But
Right.
when it comes to the threats that we've been getting in the schools, so
Mhm.
we, as you know, as if anybody's now joining, we're now here live on the Ruiz Beast Podcast. We are underway with the part two of the interview, talking a little bit about Mr. Ruiz, and we recap. We've already spoke and how he started. He at a young age he's been around the grounds, into the police department, city halls. He's had a lot of mentors growing up, and he's been one of the biggest contributors, I think, in the community. And we're now
Mhm.
underway to begin part two. And before we do that, though, I just got to ask this question. You know, now again, we've heard about the threats that have been going on by what are believed to be some kids in the school. Uh, trying to kind of mock the Uvalde shooting. Terrible as we're getting close to the year eve, and now it's been very controversial. We've heard from Superintendent Mijares about it. We can talk about that uh, in a short bit, but what is your what is your opinion when it comes to having to send let's just put yourself in the school district shoes. Okay, you have to put this information out right away that you got a non-concrete threat, and right away the kid the parents are panicking. They're ripping their kids out of school right away. Parents are talking about not continuing the school year. It's been chaos,
Mhm.
and you know that. And I've asked a couple of questions to some staff with some teachers and staff, you know, and their response was, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you don't put this out, you're gonna get yelled at for it. You put it out, you're gonna get yelled at because you're causing a panic. What would you do in this instance, and how would you handle the situation? And is the school district handling this situation like it should?
Great question. I think that it has a lot that we can unpack. So, okay. So now, are they doing the right thing in letting parents know there's a threat going on? Hey, we want to let you know whether it's credible, what we're doing about it. That right there, awesome job by the school district. I believe, and a lot of the people that do follow the channel, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, what have you. Know that we like that transparency, and we believe that they should let us know whether our children are under some kind of threat or not, credible or not. Whether uh, I take the scale of the Eagle Pass School District Police at hand. I believe they're there for a reason. And if they think that it's something credible, I think they're going to take it as a credible threat. It's unfortunate what happened in Uvalde. And I think that every law enforcement officer, especially a school district policeman, or even a city policeman, or even a state trooper right now, will take any kind of threat very serious. Now, one day, I'll admit, I think it was a Friday that was a threat, or I can't remember when the first time the threat was. I pulled my kids out because my older daughter received, the notice, and we put that out as well. I know we had received some critics saying, "Why do you put it out? Post it on to the police or whatever." And of course, that's the first people we reach out to. Kids, I think are off limits. Threatening kids, shooting at kids, trying to go at children is a cowardly thing to do because children are not trained to handle any. I mean, nobody is, right, other than actual veterans, combat veterans. God bless y'all that have been out there. Our veterans, always want to thank them, but nobody is really trained. But children, much less teachers that go to school to educate, that they're not trained for that, right?
Right.
Now, again, it's a pretty big question that you asked, right? So, are they doing the right thing in letting the parents know? Yes, I am with them, letting them know.
I
Now,
agree.
if they would try to hide it, I would be very disturbed with them trying to keep that internal. So I applaud that. Now, when there was one, I did go to my kid's school, and I saw that there were two officers. I can't say what agency they're with. I didn't right off the bat know. I couldn't tell if it was Border Patrol or any type of agency, or I know they were police officers. They didn't look like school district police officers. They looked like agents. There were two of them out there when I went to go get my kids, because that first threat. I mean, you never really know. People panic. You just don't know nowadays.
Right.
So we were there. I thanked them. I even told my kids, you be sure you thank those people that were willing to take their time of their day to come here and make sure you guys are safe, right? And thank them. I don't know them personally, but I did thank them walking out with my kids. Because had something happen, I know at least they were there. Now, there's also been times where the school district says that they're going to put heightened police force out there at the schools, and they haven't. That's just facts. Because there was another one, and I'll kind of skip around a little bit, but right now, these kids nowadays, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, need a dad in their house that is
Absolutely.
going to pull a damn belt out and whip some of these damn kids in the butt. And as controversial as you want to say it in 2023, that's controversial to say, but how are these parents allowing these kids to do this stupidity and affect so many lives? And I want to blame these kids, but I can't blame these kids, because the kids are kids. And if the parents aren't monitoring what their kids are doing, the kids are going to do whatever. In Halloween, your kid is going to get hundreds of pieces of candies. If you don't tell your kid, hey, you're only going to eat 5 today, you're only going to eat 2 today, you're only going to eat 3 today, that kid is going to eat the whole damn bag of candy, no matter how many pieces are in there.
Oh yeah.
They're kids, and this goes up to 18 years old, man. I mean, and how are the parents not monitoring the situation? Is it where we have to, hey, parents, get these kids out of Snapchat then? If it's because that's where they're doing these threats, is in anonymous channels, and they're killing the reason for having these anonymous channels, because now what are they going to say next? These anonymous types of channels, what are we going to do? We have to monitor them because now they're a threat to security.
Absolutely.
And they don't realize the situation that they're creating right now. I mean, that's what we're battling in our generation, is being able to have the freedom of government not viewing our damn text messages. But you have kids in Snapchat, one of the very few that's encrypted, that messages are not as easily as traceable or not as easily as recoverable, and they're just ruining our freedom and allowing the government to come in, because it's going to happen. You cannot tell me it's not going to happen. There is always going to be a government overreach, and I'm not talking about local government. I'm talking about nationwide government.
Right.
We saw it with the Twin Towers. We saw it, with several items, that the government will overreach, and they will want to, get all your information. And the very few channels that provide the privacy and the security on these channels, they're being ruined by what? These threats. And it's not localized to Eagle Pass. I mean,
Everywhere.
just imagine if we were a San Antonio, which we're not. Just imagine if we're headed towards a Laredo type of growth. which which we do want to be a bigger city, but we don't want to reach that we don't want to be a San Antonio or nothing like that either.
Right.
So we're a small knit community, and I understand that.
Well, small, and that brings me to the question, as a small community, and I've blasted this in my campaign, the 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 abundance, I'm sorry, the lack of police force. Now we've had, and now we've seen that in the articles of the Maverick Times. We've seen that in the articles in different news outlets. Parents are upset and blaming the school district for not, putting more security out there. You can't, in my opinion, you can't really blame them for that, because there really isn't enough. You have your police force that's out and about on patrols. As I said before, if anybody's seen the budget, there's only 37 officers that are budgeted. And I'm not going to say the number, but from that 37, there's a lot of spots open. So that really puts the pressure on our police department. It also puts the pressure on the school district. Now, one of the questions that I have is, what do you think could be a solution as far as security goes, especially when we get these threats? Because as I said before, parents are looking for somebody to blame. I mean, who wouldn't? You're a parent. You're scared. You're worried. We just had this horrible thing that happened last year, and we don't want it to happen again. Everyone's kind of just biting their nails right now. So I have to give credit to the Eagle Pass School District that they're trying their best to keep things calm and trying to inform parents that they're doing the best they can. But right now, it's just not enough, because the scary part is there's just not enough security. So what do you think would be a solution as far as trying to get more security out and trying to make parents a little bit more comfortable, especially when these threats are going to have, this is probably not going to be the last threat. I guarantee you, so.
I mean, one of the first thing that I'll mention to parents is that we are towards the end of the school year. The pattern has gone as we get closer to the school year. These threats do happen, and the kids, they just want to get the hell out of school. So that's part of it, right? So now, having 37 police officers in a school district that is considered rather a large school district, a large enough school district to have two high schools. Let me just bring that into reality.
Well, that's 37 officers citywide. I'm not sure what the.
Okay. You're not talking about the school district. I thought you were going out the school district, because I do know that the superintendent did speak about having a certain amount of officers in his school district. Now,
I think he said 37, and I was kind of baffled that it sounds a lot like the city.
So that's where you're getting the 37 number. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many? I would ask. I'm not sure how many elementaries you have, but you have two high schools. Okay. Any school district that has at least two high schools, that's what you have to at least sign 5, 6, or 7 officers to one high school alone. That cuts into half your force. Now, I mean, it seems to me that security has not been one of the strongest suits. I know in the very beginning when Mr. Ruiz started as a chief of police with the school district, he was attempting to bring on more people and attempting to increase positions. And I know the school district is not the primary person that should give a first responders type of response to that. I mean, it's a school district, but as we see, they are definitely the first responders, especially, from other school shootings that we've seen recently here. Unfortunate thing that happened in Uvalde. I mean, the school district police need to be trained. They would be the first one, and as the incident command structure goes, as you're taught under NIMS, the incident command structure is that whoever's the person in charge that was there at first or is under their jurisdiction, and in the Uvalde case, I hate to use it, right, was, well, of course, the Uvalde chief of police for the school district. Why? Because there shouldn't have been anybody better acquainted with the area, with the policies, what's capable, and that's the way the incident command structure is maintained. I mean, at least that's what I was taught through my FEMA training, which I have extensive FEMA training, being part of the EOC with the city of Eagle Pass. So you get into that, and you see that the school district police department, they're going to be the first responders, and they're going to be responsible for the response, the immediate response. Now, the immediate response is always the most critical one in any type of situation when you have an active shooter, a possible active shooter, anything of that sort. The first response is the most critical, which is going to be a school district police officer or a security, or whoever is there.
You
Now,
actually have a question here from one of the audience. I believe his primates. It says, "Where do all the people go who graduated from the police academy?"
that's a great question. I do not have any stats on that.
Well,
I would hope.
I have some idea. So after
Okay.
the academy, they're supposed to take what is called the civil service test. So when they go, you already have your peace officer's license. You're already ready to go. But if depending on where you're going to serve, you have to pass a civil service test. I think it's about ninth grade level. I think they lowered it. Don't quote me on that. From what I was told, and this is coming from the police department, it got lowered, and they don't want to lower it anymore because I mean I think if you lower it anymore, I mean, I don't know, if you can't pass the ninth grade level, I don't think you have any business being a peace officer. That's just my my opinion, because you can get somebody killed, But I think that's one of the problems that we don't get officers is because they're failing that test. So once they get them, they spend the money on training, they take the test and fail it. Well, that I'm not sure where they go after that. I just wanted to chime that in.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't kept the track on that, Mr. Primates. I don't have. I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to make an assumption. I do know that there is options. There is the tribe that has a police force. There's a school district. Um, there's the city. There is the sheriff's department. There's also security companies that have been created as well here locally, that police officers will go into that as well. I mean, other than that, I'm not sure.
You can always go to the police department, and Lieutenant Amy Gonzalez and Lieutenant Fuentes. They're very great with communicating with the public, so they can definitely give you that information.
Shout out to Amy. Amy has been there. I mean, from a good while. I thought she was a good, excellent. I thought she was the candidate to be the next chief of police for the city of Eagle Pass, and I would have thought that would have been a great opportunity. And maybe um, that's not something that's not going to happen in the future. I think she has a very bright future, Miss Amy Gonzalez, and I've known her for a long time. A very respectful lady.
Oh, she's great.
Oh man,
she's very professional. She's a great speaker. Great speaker. And I think that's something that the city lacks. Well, we have a lot of great speakers, but she's a great speaker.
No, she's classy lady.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I know I've been a little outspoken, and maybe more than I should be. I would have much rather preferred a homebred, homegrown. I mean, I know she started the police force, and get this, she started, I think, back in the day when my brother started. So that goes back to a testament that she was a patrol woman and worked her way up, did what she had to do, and where she is now, it's just amazing to see. And my opinion, I think she should have been our next chief of police. We'll leave that where that is there.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
yeah,
if Chief Garza ever decides to step down, I'll just say that I think Lieutenant Gonzalez is a perfect candidate for chief. I'm going to put that out there for that. So we'll leave. Yeah, like you said, we'll leave it at that.
yeah.
So
Next
yeah,
question.
next question. So we covered that. We're already reaching. We already reached the 50-minute mark. So let's go ahead and move on, and let's talk about uh, one of the questions I had. I believe we left off. You had already started. I believe you were working with or as the Salcedo administration was in.
Mhm.
What was your relationship with Mr. Salcedo before things got hairy? I'm sure that we all start somewhere. I hope that's not too much. I
Yeah.
hope that's not too much of a personal question. If not, we can always move on.
No, no. I mean, there wasn't. I mean, we weren't texting buddies or anything like that. I think the most extensive, the longest time that I spent with him personally was when, because I did a stint where I was the assistant county planner. I mean, I'm sorry, not the assistant, the acting county planner. So I went with him to a meeting that we had up in, I can't remember the city. It was somewhere by Austin, um, to meet with a certain agency, right, about a grant that we were gonna apply for. We were gonna receive some funding. So me and him actually had to drive up there. So I drove him up there, and that was the most extensive time I've spent with him, to be honest. And most of the talking was about actually fantasy football. We kind of vibed on that. I play fantasy football. What I believe to be the best league. Shout out to Rolando Fortes if he's watching. His fantasy league's pretty competitive. This year I made the playoffs, but I was out in the first round. Last year I took third place. I was proud of that one. But anyways,
Yeah, we hear a lot. We
so
hear a lot from Mr. Forte. Shout out to him.
yeah, yeah. Shout out to him. He's a dude. His draft is awesome, man. I love his draft. But yeah, I mean, me, Mr. Salcedo, Judge Salcedo, we vibed on fantasy football. We talked about that.
So he was pretty
I
down
kind
to
of
earth.
just yeah, I sat down there in the meeting. He wanted me just to overhear in case of whatever happens. He has another year on the project. It's nothing that I was not unfamiliar with. With my time with the city, it was pretty standard. We drove back, pretty much the same thing. Talk a little bit about fantasy football. Who are we going to draft, or what he thinks, or what his thoughts are on that, and that's pretty much it. The final thing that or final interaction that I did have with him in an official capacity was kind of just a talk that we had where he wasn't too satisfied about a relationship going on with me and the actual accounting planner. And I let him know that I didn't, we didn't share the same thought about that. And I'm pretty verbal about what I thought. I told him what I thought, and that was that. I didn't get any, he didn't try to come after me, or he didn't throw anything at me or anything like that. He's shaking my hand after the whole thing. And it's no hard feelings. It is what is it. It is what it is. I still believe what happened had to happen, and I'm glad it did happen. But I haven't seen him around lately, to be honest. The last I heard was he was getting a feeler about running for city council. I
Yeah, we all
think
saw
the
that.
community, yeah, I think the community is kind of ready to let go, and kind of just let that be. And I think that as news reporters as well, kind of just need to let that be. The man's a private man now, and stuff like that. But there is a lot of good and with the bad that was done. You can't be totally biased and say there wasn't anything good done under his regime, whether things were questionable or not. That's of course up to interpretation. But moving forward, we wish him well, right? Of course, no ill intent or
No,
anything like
absolutely.
that.
I don't,
Um,
this is all educational to me because
yeah.
I wasn't here during the South Salem era. I
I,
hear it.
I'm, and in the very beginning, I'll be honest. He had a lot of support. His first run at county judge, he had a very strong support. He was very eager to work with everybody. I don't want to comment on what happened or what changed from here to there. The last conversations I did try to get interviews with him. And he said that I was being investigated for I don't know what, and it would be a conflict because he might be a judge on that investigation, and we kind of knew that he was using that as a
Scapegoat, pretty
pretty
much.
much, obviously, because we've been able to interview the current county judge and there's no conflict there, so I'm not being investigated by anything, at least as far as we know here locally, right? So and
Yeah,
I understand why he did that. So I don't blame him. I won't um I won't even say call him a coward or anything like that, but I would say that it's a testament as to that he's just wasn't ready to answer the questions that I had. So yeah, let's
yeah. I,
see.
I, I think I know where that. Yeah, where you can decipher that any way you want. It's just that's how it is.
Yeah,
And like I said, this is all educational to me. We do wish the former judge South Salem the best, despite what anybody says. Because, like I said, that's all I would ever hear is bad, bad, bad things. But I do hear some good things too. Um, so we do wish him the best. And I think one of the things good about a county judge, especially when you're approachable, we'll talk about Judge Cantu. He's very approachable. I've had plenty of meetings. Uh, I've even had got to sit down with him after I made a little noise during my campaign at a city council meeting in front of the investors, and he straight out told me, yeah, well, that probably wasn't a good thing, but he tells you straight up, he tells you how and all you can do is take it in and then learn what you can do better to approach a situation, and he's taught me that. And again, I've made mistakes where you I just flat out just go out and call people out because you do that because you're passionate about the community that you're in. I you again you can learn things from these whether they're politicians or former politicians.
Mhm.
And that's all I got to say about that. But the next question I got for you now,
All
before
right.
I enter that one, uh, so before we enter that one, so pretty much before we end the Salcedo subject, because I know some it could be a touchy subject, but that right there was just kind of letting him know how you felt of disagreement. That right there was kind of the was that kind of the split, or was
Um, yeah, that from there, like I said,
it got awkward pretty much, right? It just
well,
kind of
I mean, I'm not. I guess I'm not really shy to mention about it. It's kind of the old regime, right?
yeah, yeah.
You know,
You don't have to go into full detail. I mean, it's
the
just
the planning director that was there that I was trying to assist with. Um, uh, I tried to help as much as I could. My original job was with the sheriff's department as their grant director, and the way I work is I like to give 110% in whatever I give. You know, in my job, and I think my family can contest to that. I engulf myself. I mean, whether it's a good or bad thing in what I do. So it's one of those things where I was needing to focus on what the deputies needed, the sheriff needed, to keep them safe at night, because of course we have an issue with lack of staff, lack of funding. Before the Lone Star grant came around, right at the time. So I was more focused on letting that more focused on that, right? Of course, there's other areas where woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda, but and it's a thing where it's unfortunate that things happen, and it's a good thing you brought it up. It's a thing that we each have. I mean, all of us have this ego that we build, and we sometimes build it, and so much so that it takes certain things to happen for you to either break down or lower the ego a little bit. And I think at that time it wasn't just a judge by any means. I'm not saying it was just him, but like I said, I am the way I am, and always have been. So it was where, if this is the way it's going to be, I'd rather just, and at the time, disclosure, I was eager and wanting to dip my feet into owning a business, having a business. And right after I left the county, that's exactly what I did. I got into a contract work as a consultant for grant writing. So it wasn't where it was an erratic type of thing where I just, like, one day to the next, this, that. I know it seemed like that in the grand scheme of things, whenever, you don't really see what's happening behind the scenes. But I mean, that's what was going on. It wasn't the best of situations, and it was a thing where I think, unfortunately, the past judge may have had his hands tied in some type of proverbial way, and things happen, and it is what it is, and like I said, there is no ill will. I don't agree with everything he did. He probably doesn't agree with things that I have done, but working with him and under his when he was the county judge, I was here. I was with the county for about 6, 7 months, eight maybe tops. We were able to get actually $1 million funding for colonias. I think I mentioned that we were able to take it from the city, that 4-year grant, $1 million for the colonias, and as you know, colonias are areas that are in dire need of funding, to help out with their planning, to help out with their skills, to help out repairing some of these houses. And last I heard, there were the program that we were able to get a couple of years ago when I worked there, is doing pretty good. So I'm pretty proud of that was able to move forward. And hopefully I'll get another chance to get in there and do some similar things, right?
Yeah, that'd be that'd be great. So I mean, all you can do is let, as Mr. Primates commented, let bygones be bygones, right?
Yeah, that's the
Uh,
way it is.
and speaking of bygones, we've reached the hour mark, and I do have some juicy questions we want to get
Ooh,
to.
okay, let's get it. Let's get it.
So here's a juicy question. Okay, so we have already we know about Saucedo, Mr. Saucedo, and we do wish him the best, and we know that it was a real big name out here in the town. One of the biggest names that we see out in this town is Morales. So now we've all seen, with the past county elections happen and all the events that have happened, and um, you, we've seen, the lives you've made, the live podcast you made, and you've expressed some unhappiness with Mr. Eddie Morales, our state rep. Um, we won't get into detail on that. Like, we're not gonna. This isn't gonna be a shooter interview or anything like that. But one of the things I do want to ask, and I know the community is probably wondering, did you know what went? Did you have a relationship with the with Representative Morales? And if you did, you know, where was the small point that kind of changed your relationship with him? Besides the scuffle, we all know the scuffle.
Yeah,
We're not gonna get into that. We just want
yeah.
to know,
Um,
what kind of happened in between that.
Actually, yeah, we did have a relationship where it wasn't like a daily texting relationship. We did text and talk on the phone. As the state rep and me being a grant consultant for the water district at the time, we were in communication of trying to bring certain type of projects for the water district. So we always had our eye out for that. There was a grant that his office was able to help us with. Unfortunately, we did not receive the funding for the project for what we submitted. His office got us a letter, right away. I thank them for that. I mean, you can go back in our Facebook posts. For the Elevator Project Group. That was our company, our consulting company, Elevator Project Group Incorporated. You can go back and see where we, took a picture of the letter that he sent out to the agency, which in this case was the Water Development Board. He signed it. We posted it. We thanked him for his assistance on behalf of our water district here in Maverick County and everything. And uh, even before that, working with the city, I had, I wouldn't say an intimate relationship, an acquaintance type of thing. We known of each other. He was a city attorney for a long time and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, there was something there. Like I said, even more as I was going into doing contract consulting work, him just becoming the state rep. Of course, there was. I mean, he was the person that I was going to have to get a letter of recommendation to get funding for. He's our state rep, of
Of course.
course. So there was that relationship. It was a good one. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a daily one where we talk every day. We had small talk, mostly about trying to focus about getting funding for. Most people don't know that our water district has like a 1940s electric hydroelectric plant out there, and it's a gold mine. It's a gold mine for the water district, and that's one of the things that I was working with the state representative, and he was very interested in it. I give again. This is the second time I give props to him. I don't think I've ever done that before,
There's nothing
but
wrong with that.
he was very adamant about wanting to get that funding to help that because man, I have a video up. Under Elevated Project Group again. I don't know if I still have the account up, but I take a video because it's out in the boonies, so I lose service. But you're looking at this place, and it looks like this thing was built in the 1940s. So you're looking at these gauges, you're looking at these turbines, you're looking at these things, and they need funding to help them, and it's only going to bring the water district more money to improve themselves more, to improve the farming, to keep the industrialized farming location that we do have just north of us, right in between Dorio, Normandy, and all that area. So I mean, we were able to try, and we had the chief of staff for, I'm sorry, not the chief of staff, but the regional director for Tony Gonzalez, the congressman, as well out there, trying to. He actually got a tour of the facility, and the state rep was. I mean, that was his focus when we would talk. Any other grant that I would get, he provided a letter for it. No questions asked. Hey, Eddie, I need this, this, and that. He was very quick in providing, and he wanted to do good. I mean, the intent that I got from him in first working with him in that capacity was that Isaac, come on, whatever grant you can find, I got your back. I'm gonna write this letter. We'll see what we can get and this and that. So that's where that went. So I think the second part of that question, what was the rift or what was the separation? I think the disagreement was probably not much of his doing. I think it was more of moral my moral
Moral
standards
compass, we could
and
say.
my moral compass. Yeah, I guess. And um, and by no means I'm saying he did anything wrong, because I'm not implicating him in anything, and I don't think he did anything wrong. But the association I saw with certain other people, and that had nothing to do with the state representative himself. It really didn't. I know it ended up turning out to become like that, and it was unfortunate the way it did unfold and unravel like that. And again, when you get egos involved, and uh, uh, you get certain types of emotions, I guess, if you want to say, involved, things can escalate rather quickly, and bombs can get thrown rather quickly,
Yeah.
and what have you, and war can be declared in a snap of a finger. But it wasn't where I, I don't recall a certain thing where this that I know. um, I was looking into certain things, like, again, I thought was wrong. Now that I've been able to look at everything else as a whole, not just judge him by what he's doing without looking at other examples of what actually is going on. I kind of take a step back now. Too much too late, right? But now it's kind of like, okay, well, I can see, how do I say it? Um, the best analogy I think I can kind of say it, and like I said, I'm not saying he's doing anything wrong, which I don't have any, I'm not saying that whatsoever. Don't have no evidence, not saying he is. But like, I feel him at the level where, if you're playing a sport, because I play sports growing up, and it's like, if you're not cheating, or you're not trying, you know what I mean? If you're not trying to
Yeah.
take that extra base, you're not trying to win the game. So
Right.
in retrospect, I kind of see it that way. um, Again, uh, in a non-judgmental type of way, uh, I don't think I would take the same steps that he would have, which I think that made me be a little more judgmental of it. But then again, I do not know, and I think that that's where I was incorrect. Where I don't know what's going on with him, or why he had to make certain moves. But there was moves that were made. We questioned certain moves. We had an interview with him as well, and it was a very. I mean, we had 40, 50, 60, live viewers watching it. It was a very interesting one, and it was just kind of from there. It was tit for tat. I think that there was a lot of pettiness. I would say 75% of everything was pettiness. The lawsuit came. The lawsuit was petty, on both sides. On both sides, there was accusations made. Um, I had nothing to do with what I was accused of. I'm not going to say it, right, but
Right. Right.
I have, for the utmost respect for women. I do. I know I have a certain ideology of where women's places are in society, but women, I mean, I respect them. I was raised by one. I didn't have my dad around raising me. I had my mom raising me. So I respect women, and what I was accused of, I would never do to anybody, because I would hate for somebody to do that, to somebody that's close to me and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
I do have more morals, and I think that that touched up a little bit on my morals, and I, as men, we tend to, like, you come this way, like, oh, all right, motherfucker, let's see how you like this,
Yeah.
and I think that that's what happened between me and him, honestly. Because other than that, I mean, before he even became a state rep, we enjoyed, a normal relationship. Hi, bye. Like I said, he was our legal counsel when I was there as a grant writer. Whenever we had the gym, we had acquisition that we had to do of certain areas. I had to conduct an environmental assessment. Not many people know how to do that, but I had to conduct that on my own, train myself how to do it, conduct that on my own, and I had to communicate with him about inquiring the area adjacent to El Indio to be able to drive into Cruz Munoz. So I mean, there was a back relationship there, and I think that there's probably room there for mending fences as well. I mean, we'll see, right? Future can't be told, right? But
Yeah.
you
You know
know,
this.
it was something that was probably petty. Uh, um, uh, we tend to sometimes get overzealous about our beliefs and think that, hey, we're not able to see the other person's vantage point, and then once you get into a rivalry with somebody, or tit for tat or blow for blow with somebody, it gets hard to stop after a while. And both sides have their surrounding characters that tend to throw more gas on the flames than
Yeah.
probably should be. And I'm not saying it's just his side or just my side. It's probably both sides, people egging you on, and
And we all
you
get petty.
know, yeah,
We're only
yeah.
human.
No,
You
yeah,
know.
yeah, and I realize that's why we're explaining it, and that's why we're talking about it and stuff, right? And that that's where that went.
So, uh, final question on the topic: if someone shoved you in a room with State Representative Morales, just you two, what do you think would happen? What would you say to him? What
Oh,
would?
I mean, that would be interesting. That would be interesting because of the fact of what happened the last time we were next to each other. Um, but I mean, in all honesty, I don't hold any grudges.
Well,
I,
I
I'm not
I
able
think.
to. I wasn't able to say that all the time, right? I'm able to say that at this point in time where it's like, I'm not. If I were to see him right now, I'd shake his hand if he was willing to. Like, hey, it is what it is. You know.
Hey, that's
Uh,
good, man. That's awesome.
well, yeah. I mean, if he would be, I know that there's a lot of bad blood. So I mean, and I wouldn't get offended either. That's the thing. I'm a firm believer that, like, we had to have the rivalry we had for whatever reason it was, and it went as far as it did. And whatever pettiness that he had, whatever pettiness that I had, we're each gonna have to deal with the karma of that in the future. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as me, if I were to see him, if I were to have to work with him as a state rep, again, I know how to be a professional when a professional is needed, and that would not be a problem with me.
Yeah, and
And,
that's good, man. Sometimes we just got to let things go. And I think what happened, during the county elections, I think tensions were already high. You know how these elections go. It's especially when it's county, you get mudslinging, you get all kinds of stuff happening. Tensions were high. Everyone was squished together. I'm sure he was nervous, especially running against Catherine Parker. It all boils down to one thing until confrontations happen. So I think if he did see, I'm not going to speak for him, but I think if I was Representative Morales, I would have already let it go. I'm not sure how he would, but I'm sure I think he would shake your hand. Let bygones be bygones. But that's
I mean,
wishful
I
thinking.
would hope so. I would hope so. But you know, either way he would want to go. It's either way. I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I'm not. I think I'm at a position where I'm owed at least an apology. For kind of being slugged the way I was. And even at that, if he doesn't, it doesn't matter. I mean, I would, like I said, work with him again. Absolutely. I mean, he's a state rep. He's our state rep, and that's it. It is what it is. I don't have to agree with him. I don't have to disagree with him. I mean, the matter of fact is that if the situation were to arise, I think that both he and I can come to the understanding that we're here to better the community instead of, keep some kind of feud from us getting our community what they need. And that's just the way it is. If I were to do any type of grant work with anybody that I usually do pre bono stuff here locally, I wouldn't hesitate to ask him if he or his office if they're willing to sign off on a letter because I mean, it's not he's not help. I mean, he's helping me, but he's not helping me. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And the thing is that it's both of us being able to be realizing the bigger picture. Whatever disagreements we had, whether they could be squashed or at least put aside, that's fine with me. Whatever is better for our community, because I do know that feuding, this and that, the way it is, the way it's been, it just diminishes the quality of life that we have here. I'm all up for debate, good debate that's going to bring about good ideas, good stuff. But this kind of feud, where this, that, the other, people assaulted, it doesn't have to get to that. I guess is what I'm saying. Is you know,
right.
and I welcome him. I don't know if it'll happen. Hey, come say hi to me, man. I'll shake his hand. Hey, let's squash this shit. How can we help you path?
Absolutely, man. And you
Yeah.
know what? I honestly think, man, after this podcast, you should definitely edit the description. And I know because we're already at an hour and 23, we want to keep the audience interested. I would be like, hey, type it up around I think about the hour and 15-minute mark. We talked about, Representative Gonzalez and your feelings towards him now. I think that really would do the community good to hear
Morales,
that. I'm sorry, what did I say?
Gonzalez.
Morales. I'm sorry. My bad. Representative Morales.
That's another one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, exactly. I'm getting those mixed up. But yeah, so I mean that would really do the community good to hear, because a lot of the times we've heard some really strong, passionate stuff that you've said about our state rep. And like I said, we're only human. We have mixed emotions. Shit happens. I've said a lot of things, especially running for office. I was really passionate. I got really headstrong, and if I felt something was wrong, I really got super passionate about it. And sometimes, and this is just me, I wouldn't think about it before I said it. It's just me pouring my emotions out. And some people can interpret that the wrong way, and people hearing you say that now, I think that would give people a sense of, hey, you know what, Isaac's not that person that just wants to get on the internet and troll our state rep or just start talking shit and all that. You're that's
Oh no, no, not at all. I mean, some of the things that I disagreed with him publicly. I mean, I think that I was well within my right to disagree with
yeah, and there's
him.
nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah,
You can disagree.
and full disclosure, if he does anything that I disagree with, I will disagree with him. Now, did I go about it the wrong way a couple of times? Absolutely, I went about it the wrong way a couple of times. But see, that's the beauty of the thing, is that in hindsight, that's when you learn and say, like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have, done that. And I think that he probably feels the same way too about certain situations. And the growth from that situation is what needs to be focused on. And, now, that being said, I don't want people to think that, oh, Isaac, this, that, or the other, because I still do want, things to be done correctly, fairly for each and every one of us. Like, I really do. But, let's say I am, there's been a city grant administrator, which was, again, a position that was created for me to enter many years ago. It's been open for so long there with the city. And to me, I'm thinking, and they had a really good administrator, Mr. Ronnie. I'm so sorry. His name is slipping my mind right now. But the grant administrator they had there before, excellent guy. At getting grants, he was an excellent guy. He was from the Middle Rio Grande. That guy, I was like, damn, that they're beating me. I didn't really like it too much, but he was getting grants, right? And and he did a good job out there. And I think he's doing another job with the city right now. He's no longer the grant administrator, but the thing about it is to get into the situation and realizing that, whatever it is, whatever issues that we have, whether they get solved now, whether they get solved in a week, whether they get solved in a year later, him being the professional that he is, me being the professional I am trying to be, that together, working together, is going to help the community much more rather than trying to divide us. And I don't necessarily agree a lot with the Democratic Party right now. That goes again also for the Republican Party as well in
Yeah,
some
yeah,
aspects, right? But he is our state rep, and if I am going to help somebody with a grant, he is our state rep. And those are just the realizations that you need to come to, and you hope that he is able, to reciprocate and say, you know what, you're right. I'm not able. He's not able to write grants for all the businesses here in Eagle Pass, or he's not. That's where other people come in, and that's where we were kind of envisioning this thing happening, where he's the state rep, and I'm able to help out the water district at the time with getting grants, and equally helping each other out to help our community grow. And that was the original thing, and for whatever reason, chests got poked out, and we do the man thing, and swords got drawn, and threats were thrown, and stones were casted, which is an old story from David to Goliath to this and that. It happens. It did happen. I think right now the best thing to do is focus on improving the community and seeing how we can do that moving forward from this.
absolutely, man. And I had uh, that same way of thinking when I lost my election. I congratulated Mario Garcia, and he's my new city councilman. So I'm gonna do whatever I can to support. You know, as long as it's effective, and you know, we're gonna keep an eye on you know the new city council stuff. Oh, you got that new comment I was gonna tell you about. They, you know, that's
Payments.
really good, man. That's, you know, and I'm sure that anybody, and if it's
I
okay with
wonder who
you,
that fake account is, though.
well, you know what I mean. Like I said, and it's your show. It's up to you. I think we would. I got one more question. If you want to end it at the 1:30 mark,
I'm
it's
gonna go. Whatever question you got, keep on
okay.
shooting them
Yeah,
at
I
me.
got one more because I figured maybe we can, you know, end it there after the question, so that way we can. Because I really want to get the audience to not just click and get off. You know, I actually want to put a description on because I really think the community needs to hear you out on this. And this is a great, uh, juicy interview and a very positive. And you know, I think people like Mr. Primates here or whoever what the real name is will change their perspective. You know, and more power to that. I,
We got a few others.
oh
I
yeah.
didn't show them earlier.
Yeah, yeah. You got you know, you got thanks for the reply. You got some claps. You know,
And then primary
that's good
primates. Yeah.
positivity, man. Nothing but positivity here. So I do have one last question before we end it, if that's okay with you.
All right.
Um, Langley and Banak. Now we know. I mean, it ties in with our state rep. Uh, we know that he's been the city attorney for some time. Um, in my opinion, I think we do. I'm not saying that I'm in no position to say that he's doing a bad job. He's just not here. He's our state rep. He's got a lot of stuff going on in Austin. Do, you know, we see our county attorney, Mr. AJ Iracheta. He's very active. He's there at every meeting. You know, you see that. So my question is, do you think it would be effective or it would be positive if our city council decided to hire a new city attorney? And not because he's doing a horrible job. I mean, you know, our state rep is tied up. I think it would do some good to see the state rep here as the city attorney, but that's just not possible. You know, would you say that would it be fair to want to have a new city attorney or a new law firm in that spot, someone who can be more active and present?
The first thing I will say is that I'm glad that they did advertise for it. I do think that there should be a periodical advertisement for any type of service. And I think that by law, there has to be. There might be something a little bit different having to do since it's a professional service, which is legal services. But giving the opportunity and competition to other businesses, I think that is needed. All right. Having said that, Langley and Banak does have a lot of experience with public entities. I mean, that's just that they do, right? Um,
Well, they're the only corporate law firm in town. Is that if I'm not mistaken, right?
and there's a lot of good ones. I will say. Now, capability wise, I'm not sure what are. From my understanding, I think we are expecting some proposals coming in. Langley and Banak has done, the job and that needs to be done. Now, I'm speaking from an aspect also as when I reached the level as a director, I and also voted as the grievance chair for the city of Eagle Pass by the employees. I dealt directly with some of the attorneys, and some of them may still be there, some of them may have not. I don't working with them. I don't have never had any complaint whatsoever. Maybe I wish we didn't pay so much, but it wasn't coming out of my pocket, so it didn't matter to me. But they have the experience. I will say that. I am glad that they put out an advertisement. I am glad they're going out for proposals. They do have the experience now. With the state rep, one of the things I do want to explain is that our state rep Eddie Morales is not directly the city manager, right? he does go to the city, as and represents, but the one that does actually have the contract
You mean the city
as
attorney, right?
yeah, for the city.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I said city manager,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
My
yeah.
apologies.
No, good, good.
For the one who does have, the agreement with the city is actually Langley and Benak. So it's not. I know Eddie is one of the main, or used to be one of the main figures, especially when he wasn't the state rep. But it's not. It isn't tied that Eddie needs to be there because
Okay,
it is Langley and Benak.
okay.
If I'm being fair, that's the truth, right? So anybody that represents Langley and Benak and is familiar should be able to fill in, which I think Miss Cassandra does
Yeah.
a lot of the filling in whenever the state rep isn't around. I know they used to have another gentleman that we dealt a lot with, Mr. Fletcher. I do not know if he's with him anymore or with them anymore. I know I dealt with him when I was with the city for a while. Mr. There were several people that we dealt with, right? But just to get that explained to everybody, he he himself is not the city attorney. It is Langley
It's
Benak,
Langley
so
and Benak. Okay.
he doesn't have to be there. Now, that's not to say they cannot hire directly a attorney to serve as a city attorney on their own. Now, when I worked with the city of Del Rio, they actually had a city attorney, which was just one lady. It wasn't a legal counsel. It was, well, I guess it's considered still legal counsel, right? But
Or like an incorporated law firm.
yeah, it wasn't a law firm. It was a lady. It was Miss Suzanne West. When I was with the city of Del Rio, Suzanne West was the city attorney. It wasn't a law firm. I think she's actually the district judge up there in Belverde, or you know, there's other counties, right? But I think she's actually the district judge now there in Belverde. Valverde. I forget what the number of the district is, but she's a district judge. Suzanne West. And she was the city attorney. There wasn't. I mean, she had a legal assistant, but it wasn't like a law firm that you would go to. So that's another option they can do, if they wanted to. But just to answer your question about, hey, the state rep is hardly there nowadays and this and that. I mean, he's within his right. I mean, as far as from what I've seen in his contract, it doesn't specify he has to be there a certain amount of time because it is Langley and Benak that
Yeah.
is in the agreement.
And you hear, and I only say that because I mean, as just a regular citizen, you always hear that title affiliate with his name. He was our
Well,
city
I mean, because
attorney.
he has been for the longest time always there, and until he just recently, took up the bigger responsibility. That's, I mean, why I assume he's not there as often. And you
Yeah,
know what? I mean, to be honest, you can think of it either way, but he could still be coming down and doing and worrying about this and not, overloading himself and not giving the focus that he needs to the state of Texas. So, I mean, to look at it on a positive type of side, I guess you can look at it like that. But I mean, it's not him that many people may have that misconception. It's not him directly, but you can say his law firm is, but he is a shareholder there or what have you. But I
do you,
mean, they have other contracts with public entities as well. So I mean, I'm a firm believer if you're getting business, you're doing something that people want or people covet. That's why they pay you. That's why you're able to take money from people, is that you're providing a service that they covet. Um,
would you
is it a
say?
good? I'm
Oh,
sorry. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say, would you say Miss Cassandra's doing a good job in the fill-in?
I haven't dealt with her directly too much. And I say Eddie because I used to have to always attend these meetings whenever I was as an employee there as a director. I was there. It was required for me to be there. So um, I would say, she's around. She's actually real pleasant to speak to whenever there isn't any like animosity. Like I think that there was a time that I spoke with her, kind of back and forth because yeah, I'll admit I do a few antics in here and there, and I do it because I mean obviously I mean I don't want to give up my tails, but people tend to think of you a certain way when you do outrageous things, and it's kind of a thing where I'm doing it so you think of me a certain way when I'm actually thinking another. I mean, I've just read too many damn books, man. And you never let somebody know what you're doing, and you always want to keep them off balance, right? So I've had run-ins with her where like we're at each other's throats, so to speak. But we've also like sat down and had a conversation without the animosity, and she's great. And she's even told me she's willing to come on my podcast, but she wants me to pay her legal consulting fee or what have you. I haven't asked how much that is. I think it would be interesting to get her on my podcast. I think me and her could talk about, outside of our legal interaction, me and her, but I think we could talk about a lot of things. But, I don't know what her consulting fee is. I'm at the notion where I think she should be paying me to come on my show, but
Yeah, like,
that's the way I think. But I mean, I'm still interested. If one of these days I can get her on her, like I said, she has a lot of patience, a lot of patience because I'm one of those persons that, art of war, man, art of war, and I strongly believe that. And you have to keep them off balance. You have to keep them on edge. You have to keep them thinking. How I had Mr. Ismael Castillo thinking like, making a post saying like, man, I've never dealt with a guy that's like that, and and people might think that like, oh man, he insulted Isaac, and I just had a smile on my face because to me it's like, yeah, that's right. You've never dealt with somebody like me before, and I take a lot of pride in that. But Cassandra, no, I mean, uh, legally wise, honestly, I can't say what happened between in our courts. I'd rather keep my interaction because Eddie wasn't around in our court, so it was me and her most of the time. I'd rather keep that, out of this, right? But uh, I haven't run into anything to where that's alarming. I know there's issues at the housing authority that I did not like. Um, there's new members now. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I haven't followed up since the new members came in.
yeah, that's a
Um,
little mystery right there. Um,
yeah, so
you know, we
I
could
mean, but
definitely.
I mean, she's great. If she's willing to drop her consulting fee to come on the show, I will have her on the show ASAP. I mean, it's amazing how she has the patience. I think I've been able to get under her skin a couple of times, but the
I think we've all seen it. I think we've
yeah,
all
yeah.
seen it.
You see, but she has an amazing amount of patience.
Oh
'Cause,
yeah, she
I
was.
mean, I
You were
will
giving
say
it to
that
her,
much.
man. You were giving it to her hard, and she was just
It,
taking it. She was just like,
no, and she cracked here and there every once in a while, and I used it against her, and I was very unprofessional at times as well. I'll say that. But when you get into the nitty gritty of things, you don't think of it until after the fact, right? And
right.
and what was so cool about it after her, even after the that messiness, she was still like, if you pay my consulting fee, I'll come on. And I was like, that put a smile to my face because it was like she knew it wasn't it's not a fight about me and her. You know what I mean? In other words,
Yeah.
and even if you want to get down to it, and maybe part three we can, but
Yes, definitely. I
with
definitely want to do a part
me and
three.
Eddie,
So.
it's not even about that either. It's not even about it's stupidity type of fucking. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I did appreciate how Cassandra was like, well, if you're willing to pay my consulting fee, and by no means
Hey,
am I going to, but
we're gonna
whenever
have to
she
we're gonna
wants,
have to
she's
edit this
welcome.
out, man. We're gonna have to edit it out because now everyone's gonna want a consulting fee if we try to get these public figures on a podcast. I would love to have the
Oh
mayor one
well.
day come on and do a little interview, and he's gonna be like, "Well, Ruben, sorry, you have to pay my consulting fee."
Well,
So,
hence she hasn't been on the show, right? So
yeah, so
again, I mean, I wouldn't ask her for money to be on the show or anything, but I do think that it would be a good opportunity to, and not again touch anything legal where me and her were dealt with, but to have just an open conversation about, in general
yeah,
what's happening. I think
yeah,
that
and
would be good.
and you,
I am trying to search for a regular or a semi-regular female. So those that are watching, I know not many people are watching. Slow down, we're getting to the 2 hour mark, but um, I am on the search for maybe a semi-regular type of partnership with a female to give me a contrast of my ideology and my because let's say me and you can start a podcast, but me and you share a lot of the, we don't agree on everything, but it's similar.
yeah,
So just throwing that out there. If you know of anybody, or if anybody happens to hear, if y'all are interested, we're looking into different types of avenues to bring what people want to see. What people want to, good content. Talk content, not necessarily everything got to be so negative as we've been maybe branded before, but the good thing about anybody is that you can always rebrand, repossess if business isn't booming. Time to change the format, and
yeah.
that's what we got to do, right?
And we have some female public figures. We got Miss Sandra Ruiz with Socializando con Sandra. We got Miss Carla Flores. She's up and coming with Mega. I'm pretty sure she's down to do some interviews and a podcast. Very professional. I've worked with her before. Great gal. She's very young. Would be a good learning experience for her. And I'm sure there's more out there. So if anybody's watching, we do these kind of podcasts to just get just keep the community informed. We're not trying to do anything negative or put anybody in the spot. We definitely don't want anybody to be afraid to get on the podcast. That's to the
No,
point where they
that's why I
with the
can't
point where they
promise
want
you
you to
the
say,
interview
hey, you know what,
nowadays.
you want me on your podcast, you gotta pay my consulting fee. That's it, man. That's not a shot at Miss Cassandra. Okay, we want her to get on the. I would love for
No,
her to get on
no,
the show, man.
no,
So
no, no. I don't even know if I was supposed to say that, but no, Miss Cassandra. I mean, she's a very respectful attorney. I have the utmost respect for her. You
absolutely,
know, whenever you get into having to do legal attorney fees, that's a whole nother world. And it's a whole nother situation. And like I said, I'm not gonna get into particulars, but it's a different, it, it's a separate battlefield than regular life, and at the end of the day, that's what we need to realize. And I mean, she was always saying, hey, just pay my consulting fee. Is like, well, if that's what's gonna not get you on the podcast, then I'm sorry, but hopefully we can build this one day where maybe we will have to pay our consulting fee, right?
hey, whatever works, man. Whatever works. Whatever wants to get at me, shoot. Let me know. Maybe we can pitch in. Who knows? But
I don't know. I don't know the figure. I never asked.
hopefully it's not triple
So,
figures, man, or
uh,
quadruple figures. I
I
don't know,
mean,
man. I don't know about that.
what I do know is that because of me, she did have to get paid because of the representing of the state rep. So
Okay.
I made her a lot of money. I'm pretty sure because my antics were You know me, my damn antics. I was coming up with something all the goddamn time, but
Maybe she'll thank you for it. Who knows?
yeah, you know, or maybe I should get a credit, right? Credit of that fee or something. But no,
Yeah.
in all fairness, if she watches this or if they tell her anything, you know, no hard feelings, Miss
Yeah,
Cassandra,
absolutely
all
not.
that stuff. Again, with Eddie, you know, it is what it is. Whatever happened, we're past that. We're grown,
Yeah,
and
we're not
it
out
is
to
what
get
it is.
anybody. We're not out to expose anybody. We just want to have a regular conversation and get the community, you know, knowing who our public figures are. That's why I jumped on and wanted to do the podcast. I figured, you know, getting the community to know not the political side of our politicians, but get to know them in general. You know,
Yeah.
for those who don't know them personally, and hopefully, you know, I can get people on my show. I know that I've made a lot of noise and called a lot of people out, but you know what? That's politics, and you know, I know that they're not taking it personal. I know the mayor. I spoke with the mayor. He's we've squashed that whole thing. What happened with my boneheaded mistake that I made, and you know, he's been really cool answering my texts. You know, he's willing to. I actually have an appointment with him. Well, I had one, but I had to cancel since I'm graduating tomorrow.
Oh,
Getting my
congratulations!
thanks, man. Yeah, getting my associates, and you know, just getting finally, you know, taking that next step.
Nice.
But we are reaching the 2 hour mark. Is there anything you want to say before we close? Just anything to the community about what uh, what we what we
Um,
talked about?
No, no, just that. I mean, I think that the thing we need to focus on the most, especially, is improving our community. It does not matter, you know, what anybody's differences are. At the end of the day, what does matter is the constituents, our residents, you know, the people that we aim to inform, the people that we aim to improve the quality of their lives, and just people can lose sight of that, and you know, I'll say it. I'll be the first one that to admit it, that you know, you can let some things blind you a little bit, and you forget what the purpose, or what your real, what you know, the purpose is of what you're here for. And it's not necessarily to create conflict, but or avoid it, but it is to do what is good, for the greater good cause. You know what I mean? And because we're all connected, we're all one consciousness, and what have you, and we're more connected than we're, you know, told that we are. And what benefits you benefits me. And I think if we all moved forward that way, uh, life would be that just much better for everybody.
Absolutely, man. Well said. Well said. Well, with that being said, this was another episode of the Ruiz Beast Podcast. I am a special guest host here, putting our main host on the other end of the mic. You know, thanks a lot for letting me do this. I think, you know, your platform's got a lot more viewers than I do, so maybe hopefully that'll get me some follows. If you guys like my work and how I interview, you guys can follow me at Ruben J. Camarillo. That now you know it's dash or slash was slash no it's dash now you know Eagle Pass podcast. You know, we have the
Make sure
same
you
ideals.
post it. Make sure you post it on the comments.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
I'll post that on the comments. Have everybody follow me, and that'd be great. I would love to try again. You know, I'm trying to do you know, just serve the community as best I can. I wasn't able to obtain a title, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to stop serving. You know, I hope that, you know, Isaac, I hope that I'm doing you a great service to have the
Oh
community get to
yeah,
know
man.
you
No.
better. You know, I think that's awesome that the community got to know you better, and you know, I'm not charging a thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's not about the consulting fee, I promise. As but in general, you know, I tell all the small businesses, hey, if it's okay if I can promote you, and they're like, well, how much you charging? Nothing. You know, I'll you know, make make a quick shout out to you and promote the business, because I'm all about the small businesses, and
Mhm.
just want to help the community as best as possible, and that's it, man.
That's
Um,
what it is.
well, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. I do want to do a part 3 because I do have some more questions for part 3. This has been a really long podcast. So hopefully
Hmm.
I definitely want to put something in
Joe
the description.
Rogan-esque.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Right
Like
on.
we might have to do one of those on a day off or something like that during the day. See how many people, see how much traffic that'll generate.
Definitely. Oh yeah, for sure. I'm down for that, man. Right on. All right. Well, Isaac, thanks for having me again, guys. Once again, this was the RuizBeast Podcast. Follow him on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, right? You got all 3 platforms?
Yep.
Uh, and
Twitch.
TikTok. You got something on TikTok now. So follow the Maverick Times. We got some good stuff in there, op-eds, and it's very informative. Very informative to the community, non-biased. It's very professional. I suggest everybody follow that as well. And we will see you guys for the part 3. Just keep a lookout, and we'll advertise it.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Isaac.
All
You
right,
have a
man.
good night, man. We'll talk.
You too.
All righty, brother. Take it easy.
All right. I'm just adding part 2 here to the end, guys.